Hello everyone, I'm Geek Freak and welcome to the video. Guys, I am really ticked off. And the reason why I'm ticked off is because they are remaking Dead Space 1. Dead Space is one of my favourite games of all time. And I've played nearly all the games besides from the mobile game. I've played Dead Space 1, 2, Dead Space Ignition, Dead Space Extraction, Dead Space 3. I also saw the 2 Dead Space movies. And there was also a few downloads that was part of the series and you had to play through them. Like, there was an extended version on Dead Space 3, and I think there was like 1 or 2 add-on missions, and a few other downloads. And again, besides from the mobile game, I've played all the Dead Space games. Oh, and I've never read the novels, or I've never read the comics, but to be fair, I really should, considering I'm a huge fan of this game series. Well, it's technically a franchise, but you know, because it's got movies, comics, games, you know, that sort of stuff. Anyways, now, my opinion on the new Dead Space remake is, well, it's unneeded. The first Dead Space game is a masterpiece. The scary xenomorphs, the mystery of the marker, the scary atmosphere. The first Dead Space game was on the PS3, and even to this day, it looks fantastic. I mean, okay, let's just say for example that you're a fan of the Resident Evil game, the first one on the PlayStation 1. Now, I've played a little bit of Resident Evil, but I haven't finished it yet, which I really should get around to. But I can easily tell that the first Resident Evil game is freaking good. I mean, yeah, the graphics are outdated, but the atmosphere in the game is scary. You can still enjoy it even though it has terrible graphics now, compared to today's graphics. Now listen, I don't mind if a game was so popular back in the day that they decided to modernize it, but only if they keep every single last thing that was on the original game the same. You know, nothing's changed, like the original character was a male in the very first game, but then they decided to change the main character from a male to a female, or they decided to add on some unnecessary speeches or dialogues, you know, stuff like that. The only thing that I would change is the graphics. But saying that, I do love the graphics from the old games. So let's just say for example, they decided to remake Dino Crisis, you know, with better graphics. I mean, everything's the same like it was in the PlayStation 1, but the graphics were much better in the new remake. So at least that way you can either play the old game or the new game, either with the old graphics or with the new graphics. So that sort of remake is something that I don't mind. So if only the graphics have changed and nothing else in the gameplay, you know, it's the exact same story that's happened in the old games. Like if there was Dino Crisis 1 and then they decided to remake it and make the graphics look more better, then nothing else has changed. But you know what, that's fine by me. But the problem is this: Dead Space on the PlayStation 3 still looks fantastic. And really, it doesn't need any updates or the graphics look terrible. In fact, the graphics look fine. The graphics on Dead Space 1 on the PlayStation 3 still looks absolutely amazing. So really, there doesn't even need to be any remake for Dead Space 1. I mean, a remaster would be fantastic for the PlayStation 5. In fact, I wouldn't mind having every single Dead Space game. 1, 2, 3, Extraction, Ignition, Awakening, the mobile game, and all the downloadable games. That's for the Dead Space franchise that you was able to find on the PlayStation 3 store. And you know what, just for the hell of it, they should also put the Dead Space movies in there as well. Downfall and the other one. And they should remaster all the Dead Space games for the PlayStation 5, just like what they did for Kingdom Hearts. They got all the Kingdom Hearts games and remastered them and put them onto the PlayStation 4. That's something that they need to do. And you know what, just for a special collection, they should also add the comic books and the novels alongside the movies in one big massive box set. The Dead Space franchise is fan-freaking-tastic, but that doesn't mean Dead Space is perfect. I played the first one and I thought it was fantastic. I played Dead Space 2 and I thought it was just okay. Dead Space Extraction was between great and okay. Dead Space Ignition was okay. And Dead Space 3 was, well, it was the worst out of all the games. Now listen, let me backtrack a bit. Now listen, I don't mind if they want to remaster some games and re-release them. That's fine. But I'm also not close-minded to developers of games remaking games. Like for example, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. I think that used to be on the Game Boy Advance, but they remade it and made it more modernized. You know, giving it more cinematic cutaways, better graphics. I think it was called Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. And there are also other Kingdom Hearts games that was remastered and put onto the PlayStation 4. You know, like one big massive game series. But if I remember correctly, there are a few stories from the Kingdom Hearts game franchise that wasn't remade for the modern consoles. I can't remember which game it was. I think it was a game where you had to play as Roxas, and he had his friend Axel and another girl who was also his friend. I can't remember which console it was from, but all they did was create cinematic cutaways and there was no gameplay. I think it was Kingdom Hearts 365 Days. At least I think so anyways. And then later on, we would cut to cutaways of the screen showing us writings that we assume that's part of the story when they interact with characters from all these different worlds, you know, like Aladdin, Wonderland, you know, those sort of places. The point is, I don't mind if they want to remake a game for something like Kingdom Hearts 365 or Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. If it's part of a series and it's on a console like the Game Boy or it's on all these small game consoles, I mean, if they want to remake games like that to go onto the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox or whatever and have cinematic cutaways and have actual gameplay to suit the console, then that's perfectly fine with me. They should have done that with Kingdom Hearts 365. And you know what? I think they should remake the game on the mobile game Dead Space. You know, remake it, remaster it, and put it with the game series with rest of the Dead Space games. You know, modernize it, put some cinematic stuff in there. I mean, this game could be about somebody else that's fighting the xenomorphs on the ship. I mean, who knows? And those are the sort of remakes that I do not mind. But the problem is, Dead Space 1 doesn't need a remake. The graphics in Dead Space 1 to this day still looks absolutely amazing. So it doesn't need a remake. But saying that doesn't mean I'm not open to the suggestion of them remaking the series. Because there has been one or two things in the game that doesn't make any sense. Like, why did the xenomorphs at the end of the game die when Isaac put the marker back? Because it was clear that the marker wants to get all the xenomorphs and they fuse with the hive mind and the marker to become a Brethren Moon. I mean, why did all the xenomorphs die? You would have thought they would have went either to the hive mind or the marker and tried to assimilate with them. But no, they just die. And there was also the big fight at the end where Aizen had to fight the hive mind. Now, if you ask me, I thought that fight was ridiculous. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, the hive mind looks cool and everything, but come on, something that big would have been able to easily defeat Isaac, but instead he's ducking and dodging to avoid the tentacles. I mean, yeah, it's a good fight and all, but I don't know, something about it just doesn't seem, realistic. I mean, realistically, the hive mind could have easily squashed Isaac. But it's just one of those things, I mean, there are like one or two things that don't make any sense in Dead Space 1, like the two things I just mentioned. But saying that, Dead Space 1 is 100% a masterpiece. But as the franchise goes on, there are things in the series that you can tell that doesn't make any sense. Like for example, in Dead Space 2 near the end of the game, Isaac is fighting an illusion of Nicole, or the marker, within his mind with guns and ammunition. And I'm like, okay, so there's guns and ammunitions in Isaac's subconscious or something? In my opinion, I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. And yes, across the franchise, there are things in the franchise that doesn't make any sense. And if they want to remake the franchise, cover some plot holes, or remake some plot holes and make it much more better, or make the boss fights better, or if they want to make Dead Space the way they wanted to, before the studio said, listen, we have to make it more mainstream, we've got to, we gotta make it more like a shooter. We gotta have it more like whatever shooter is popular now. We gotta try and get the mainstream audience to play this game. This game is very popular now, so let's make the sequels all about the action. We need more explosions and bombs and cool ass weapons. And that's what they kind of did with Dead Space 2 and 3. Like I said, Dead Space 2 was okay, but number 3 completely lost its uniqueness. Just for the sake of making it more mainstream, so everybody will think, oh yeah, it's going to be about shooting and all that stuff. And you know what, I would go into more detail, but there's other YouTubers out there that goes into deep analysis what's wrong with Dead Space 2 and 3. So please go and check out those videos. And you know what, I'm always open to something like that if they want to remake the game franchise. Like I said, yes, if they want to patch up the problems that was in these games, that's fine. But, like I said, the studios wanted the developers or the creators to make it more mainstream and make it more like a shooter. Executive interference, everybody. Executive interference. And you know what? If these are the same creators who created the first Dead Space game, and they want to create the game the way they wanted it to, without the worry of executive interference, then that's fine by me. But as long they do every single game from Dead Space in the past, the add-ons, the downloadables, the games that was on other platforms, that sort of stuff. if they want to remake the Dead Space series the way they want it to, then I'm completely fine with that without any executive interference, because Dead Space 3 is a product of executive interference. If they want to correct their mistakes and make the game that they wanted it to be, and I mean welcomed changes, then that's fine by me. But considering today's political climate and PC culture, yeah, you guys know where I'm going with this. If this studio is in cahoots with the PC culture and this political correctness, then I want absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with this game if there's any of that political correctness and PC culture and men are bad stuff, and we need more diversity, or let's change Isaac into a woman. If this Dead Space remake has any of that, then this game will be dead on arrival. No pun intended. Because PC culture has destroyed absolutely everything. If this game has any, and I mean any, political agenda behind it, then I'm out. I enjoyed playing Dead Space because of its creepy atmosphere, the monsters, the puzzles, and trying to survive in this game. There was no political stuff within this game. Well, I mean, there was a little bit of it, but that was part of the gameplay. But today's political climate will put something in games or movies and try and shove it down your face saying that, oh, man bad, man bad. And I absolutely 100% hate that. I'll say it again. If there is a political bias within Dead Space the remake, then I am not playing it. They better keep their hands off of this franchise, because I love this franchise. I want to play games because I enjoy playing games, and I don't want some political messages in my games. Because if it is, then it's the final nail within Dead Space. If I am told that there are political messages in this game, then I'm not playing it. Okay, so yeah, I've gone on long enough about talking about political stuff. Now, let's talk about the main reason why I made this video. And the main reason is, instead of remaking Dead Space, why don't they carry on with the game franchise? Like, make a Dead Space 4. And listen, I know that sometimes, if not most of the time, sequels get worse and worse and worse with every installment. Now, just to let you guys know, I don't know if the studio closed down before they started production on the 4th Dead Space game, or they cancelled the game because of how poorly Dead Space was. I'm not sure what really happened, but you know, whatever. But the point is, why don't they make a Dead Space 4 instead of remaking Dead Space? Because from what I've gathered, I heard that they had plans to make a Dead Space 4, as you guys can see from here. And apparently, Ellie from Dead Space 2 and 3, and she's trying to live day-to-day life while trying to fight the Brethren Moons. And apparently, the player gets to have his own ship. And you know what, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds fun. And I'm not 100% sure if it's saying that we get to create our own ships or something, but having space battles against the Brethren Moons sounds really, really fun. And listen, with the graphics that we have now for games, I'm pretty sure that Dead Space 4 would look fantastic. So it seems promising, so I really don't understand why they would want to make a remake of the first Dead Space and not carry on with the franchise. I mean, granted, the third game, Dead Space 3, wasn't all that great, but they could still make improvements to the fourth game, and they could give us answers to questions that we weren't answering. Like, for example, like, where did the Brethren Moons come from? What was the first Brethren Moon? Was it alien made? Did it come from a different dimension? Is there a mastermind behind the Brethren Moons? Is it just a cycle that the universe goes around? Now listen, here's the thing. We know fully what the xenomorphs and the markers cycle is. I'm going to go into spoilers and telling you guys what the life cycle is. If you haven't played the Dead Space games, then stop watching this video. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. An already existing Brethren Moon sends a marker to a planet, and it waits for millions and millions of years for a civilization to come around and nearly deplete all their resources. And the civilization finds the marker, and they find out that it has energy that they can use for their civilizations, you know, like lights, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then the civilization starts creating more markers just like it. And then once the civilizations have created enough markers, the markers activate and start making the civilization go crazy. And then they start killing each other, and then those corpses that they've killed starts turning into xenomorphs. And then they start killing more of the civilization until they have enough biomass to create another Brethren Moon. And the xenomorphs and the marker fuse to become the Brethren Moon, and that civilization is now dead. And the cycle continues. And that new Brethren Moon sends another marker to a planet, and they wait for millions of years for another Brethren Moon to be born. I mean, what is the overall purpose of the Brethren Moons anyways? I mean, is this just it? For them to just create other Brethren Moons? And it's been shown that these Brotherhood moons are sentient. They know what they're doing. And when I mean sentient, I mean they're very smart. So there is a lot of questions. Who created the first marker? Why create the first marker? Was it created by accident, or was it something else? Is this the universe's life cycle? Like, what does it all mean? Yes, we know what the life cycle is for the xenomorphs, but what about where they came from? Where did the markers come from? Was it an accident, or did somebody intentionally create the markers? Were they made for something else? Or were they purposely made to do what they were supposed to do? I mean, they could have easily made like 2 or 3 more games, figuring out how to defeat the Brotherhood moons, figuring out where the Brotherhood moons originally came from, and if it was a race of aliens that created the Brotherhood moons, they could go to that planet and find out why this race of aliens created the Brotherhood moons. And there could be side games like Dead Space Extraction or Ignition, or side films, or comics or novels, you know, side stories, like what other characters are doing on the other side of whatever side of the solar system, while they're trying to take care of the other Brotherhood moons, or something along those lines. That is something that they could do, have side stories of combating the Brotherhood moons, and the main story could be about how to beat the Brotherhood moons, where they came from, and why were they created in the first place. And these questions have been bothering me for a very long time, ever since Dead Space 3. So why remake Dead Space 1? I mean, if they're just remaking Dead Space so they can have much more better graphics, you know, for today's standards, and the story is exactly the same like it was in the original, and nothing has been changed except for a few minor tweaks that they wanted to fix, then besides from that, then I say go for it. Remake Dead Space 1. And if this is the case, then they actually might remake Dead Space 2, and they can fix the problems within that game, you know, like make the graphics better and tweak a few things, and remake the side games like Extraction and Ignition, and remake Dead Space 3, which I'm pretty damn sure needs a lot of fixing, because, you know, executive meddling. Because I'm pretty sure that the people from the top told the creators of this series to add in some more, you know, shooting, all that stuff. But if they want to change Dead Space 3 and change a little bit from Dead Space 2 to make it the way that they wanted it, then go for it. We'll get to see the story as to what they wanted to tell. And who knows, maybe along the way of remaking the entire series, they might make other side games, like either from the comics or the novels, or from the 2 films, or they could remake the Dead Space mobile game and make that a side game mission, just like Extraction and Ignition. But you know what? Who knows? There are a lot of possibilities of what they could do here. Now listen, I'm open-minded to a remake of Dead Space, as long as it follows the first games that came before it, and nothing has changed and there's no political stuff in it, and they can also remake the side games like Extraction and Ignition, and a few more side games after that, and they do Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3, but they make it the way they want it, and then they go to Dead Space 4, where they face off against the Brotherhood moons, and they figure out where these things came from and who created them, and, you know, all that stuff. If they can do that, then I'll be happy. Especially no politics. But even if the new Dead Space remake will be a bust, we can always go back to the original games. So at the very least, we'll have those to fall back on if anything is wrong with the new remake. So let me ask you guys something. What do you guys think? Are you guys looking forward to the new Dead Space remake? What are you looking forward to? What are you hoping that will be in the new Dead Space game? Please let me know in the comment section below, and let's get the discussion going. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out. Thank you guys for watching. And if there's a series you want me to check out and review and give my thoughts on it, or if there's a top 10 list you want me to do, or any reactions, or responses, or rants on anything geeky, just leave links and comments in the comment sections below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Don't forget to like, subscribe, put the bell on, share this video, and leave a comment in the comment sections below. And as for my social medias, I'm literally freaking everywhere! I'm on most video platforms, social medias, forums, and support sites. It's best to pause the video and see where I am. Literally all of this is down in the description box below. So if you want to go and check those out, please do. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.